All right, welcome to KGEO Sports Talk. This is the first one this year. I'm here with Sunyata, who is Matt Angier. Angier, how are you?
Pretty good.
Awesome, dude. All right, well, to start it out, I'm gonna just take a quick peek here at our fantasy football rankings, which I can't believe that we're already into week 4 here. I'm actually going up against Capron, who just recently changed his name to Premature EJ, which we can all figure out. And as we know, Angier, you're going up against Aussie this week. How are you feeling against Oz right now?
Well, Oz is undefeated. Winless, so I need this win bad. But Aussie's team looks pretty banged up right now. I actually feel pretty good about it. When I go line by line through, I'm pretty confident that I have a shot. But to be honest with you, this season's been a disaster to start, and can't say that I'm bringing with confidence at this point yet.
Okay, all right, but as we saw with Adams last week against an undefeated Chuck team, that sometimes that hope can really bring it out, and I think
But Chuck, we all know Chuck's always a fluke anyway.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Well, no, Chuck's got a good team, and I think he's a little disappointed right now, but he's still 2-1, and he's still in the middle of the league. To just quickly recap, this is the standings right now going into week 4. Aussie, the only undefeated team, he's in first. I'm in second at 2-1. All of these teams, 2 through 6, are 2-1 right now. Myself, Gordy, Eddie, Capron, Chuck at 6th at 2-1. And then from there, the guy with the most points in the league, Reelman at 436 fantasy points, and he's 1-2. I have to point it out, even though it was my team, but being down 75 fantasy points with only 2 guys left and pulling that out, absolutely ridiculous. That's what the league's all about. And then at 8, we have Steve, 9, Bill, 10, Pupeo, Jay Reed, Casey at 11, and then Angier Angier, you're at last for right now, but it's still early, man. So, what's that?
Just dead fucking last.
Oh yeah, dude. To get into it, I do have some questions for you that I put together, and I do want to get your opinion on these. To kick off, maybe you can just, as a refresher for guys that are going to be watching this video, who are your top 3 players on your team?
It's Doug Martin, Brandon Marshall, and really at this point, Cam Newton. I need those 3 guys every week to put up 20-plus points for me to win at this point.
Right. And as far as Cam Newton's concerned, pretty good week last week. I mean, I know they blew out the Giants. What did he end up with fantasy-wise?
I think just over 30, so I think he ended up with 33 last week. But the weeks prior, I think he was in the teens even. So he's definitely been a little spotty this season, but had a huge week last week.
Okay. And as far as Doug Martin's concerned, am I remembering correctly 2 mediocre weeks and 1 week that was pretty good?
Yeah, nothing big yet. I mean, nothing that's obviously 1 week games.
Right.
But he's been steady, but on the low end of where anyone would expect him to be. So he's been a disappointment. And actually, Brandon Marshall is just a few points ahead of Stevie Johnson and Andre Johnson on my team. So he's been good. He got pretty much shut out last week, which pretty much cost me any chance of winning. But
right.
The team right now is definitely not where I want it to be.
It is not where you want it to be, and with how competitive our league is, pretty tough if your guys aren't peaking, or at least the majority of them each week. So I know what you mean. So you kind of touched on this a little bit, but who would you say, if you had to pick somebody out, I mean, who are you most disappointed with? Who is the biggest bust on your team so far?
I mean, I would probably have to say, when I look at my draft, I didn't draft as well as I needed to, but biggest bust for me so far, I was expecting Doug Martin to do a lot more than he's done.
Yeah.
I obviously had, I don't know, was it the third pick or something like that? And then plenty of guys that went after him that were, way better. So I'd say Doug Martin right now is a big bust for me.
All right, and obviously, I mean, as far as the thing that's odd, I would say for Tampa Bay, just that they were not. I mean, they were okay last year. They were an average team, but they still kind of struggled to score. And he was still running all over people. So it's like this year something's changed. They're bad this year. They just lost to a pretty average, I would say, Patriots team, and he's only doing kind of mediocre. And they just benched Freeman. Freeman's now benched. They're going with their backup.
Yeah, and they're talking about their coach being potentially on the chopping block. So the whole team's a mess. Their system's a mess, and now they're going to a quarterback that's going to be not in a good position, so they can probably stack up the box. I mean, he's in a tough position right now, so it's not looking great for them.
Right. All right. Well, dude, moving on from Doug Martin. I mean, if you had to, just to touch on your team so far, if you had to hashtag your team's start to the season, what would you hashtag? Hashtag goose egg for Sunyata.
Yeah.
All right, dude. I hear you on that. So hopefully that turns around. On maybe a positive note here, just looking glass half full. Who would you say is the biggest surprise on your team, and also the biggest opportunity moving forward to blow up?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy with both Stevie Johnson and Andre Johnson. I wasn't sure what to expect out of them, but they've been pretty good every week. Andre Johnson's a little banged up right now, so I'm worried about that. But I'd say outside of those two guys, which were surprises, I need Lamar Miller, who's kind of the rookie kid in Miami, or Dale Richardson, who just took over for Steven Jackson in St. Louis to start blowing up. It doesn't look like either of them are really stepping up at this point, but for me to have a decent season, I need one of those guys to do something.
And dude, just maybe to refresh some of the guys that haven't been following it closely. I know everyone's super busy. What has Lamar Miller done so far?
Nothing.
Like what did he do last week, point wise?
He's pretty much in a split set with what's his name? I forget who the other running back in Miami is, but really has done five points a game.
Okay, so he's about 5 points a game then. All right. So you would need him to turn it around to turn the fortunes around for the team then. Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, and Dale Richardson's been a little bit better before he got injured.
Right.
But he's in that kind of 10-point range.
Okay. So pretty average so far. You would need those guys to bump it up, start getting TDs. And get that into the teens in order to probably take Ozzie down, I would think.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.